Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another stream on the channel. And tonight we're going to discuss the championship roundup then. We're going to have a look at week 9 of how well we did. We're also going to chat about the season while Rich is just swapping over his things. But yeah, welcome to the channel everyone. Hope you're well. If you're new around here, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you do. If you haven't subscribed already, please get down and do so. That help me out massively. I'll let the lads do the whole light target for this one. Let's get them in. Beautiful as ever, Steve and Rich. How are we, boys?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. You both look it, to be honest. There we go, boys. So, what's the light target for this one then? I mean, we've been a bit up and down with the light target. What we sort of thinking ahead of this one?
Go on, Steve. You can set it.
Can't hear you, Steve, mate.
Oh, you're muted.
Fucking hell. My joke, I said my joke twice and I can't do it a third. Yeah, I can. 6.
6?
60. There you go. We'll go 60.
All right, we'll go 60. Evening, Elm. As always, yeah. Well, talking to yourself, but there we go.
Embarrassed about that. Wearing the same jumper as that picture.
Hello, Ant North Grace from Hull. If anyone needs a Hull City fan, Ant your man. I'm sure Ant will join us at some point, Steve, this month to talk about Hull City versus Leicester in the next few weeks. Evening, Paul. Evening, lads. Can't believe we've got another international break again. I mean, yeah, well, Ipswich finished on a high, didn't they?
I think this one, Jack. I think this one next year. I think there's going to be only 2 between. But I think one of them's going to last for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it the second one, Steve?
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. The idea that, 3 weeks away from actual club football towards internationals, just not great. Not great. But I guess if we're in the Premier League, it doesn't really matter, does it? So we'll see.
Richie's still
confident. Well, we'll speak about it Sunday. We'll talk about it Sunday, I'm sure.
We will.
Poor old Norwich. Poor old Norwich. I almost felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
Let's have a bit of a drum roll then before Steve announces the scores.
Ooh.
So a better week for one over the others. I'm not going to lie. Jack, you got 1 correct this week. That was a 1-1 draw between Wrexham and Birmingham. But then me and Rich also got that result correct.
Who copied whose homework? Was that?
Well, I was the first one that said it. You also had 1-1, so it's, I'll get the extra point. But I won't put it on the thing. I ended up with 2 pointers in the end, with the Preston North End Tottenham game being 2-0. Rich, you also got that one, but also you picked up the correct one for Watford and Oxford. So scores on the door.
Watford are my good side. I think I've got a couple of their scores right, Steve. Always go 2-1 Watford at home.
Yeah, which is weird because then they sack the manager.
Well, we'll probably talk about that, won't we?
Yeah,
again.
But so scores on the doors going into the international break. Jack, you are languishing behind with 8 points. I'm on 11, and Rich, you are on 13.
Come on.
So Rich has gone into the second international break then, top.
Mm-hmm. But he went to the first one top as well, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. 2 international.
You were bottom in both, so,
can only go one way, Jack. You can only get better, and I can only get worse. And Steve can sort of stay in the middle.
I've turned in Sheffield United, basically, and I've gone into 2 international breaks bottom. Well, we could say the top, but then 2 different teams have gone top into both international breaks this time. But there we go. Cooking a curry tonight, so turning in for some spice. I mean, this chat does get spicy. It does heat up quite a bit. How does everyone have the curry, by the way? What we say?
Oh, I love a hot curry, mate. I love a hot curry. Give me a spicy curry.
Yeah, not too hot. Not too. I don't like mine too hot. But does anyone in the chat, Steve, like olives? By the way, we need to.
Oh yeah, let me know. Yeah, Does any of you like olives in the chat? And if you're a yes, bugger off.
Well, unbelievable.
We're all against olives here, aren't we?
Horrible.
They are. I want they're gonna have them, to be fair. It's like jalapenos, isn't it? You know, I just don't seem to like them on a pizza or anywhere near, to be honest.
No, jalapenos are nice. It's olives that are the devils. They're horrible. Ugh.
Devil's food is probably the best food if you like that type of thing. Olives equals Satan's food. Well,
thank you, Kate. Thank you, Dawn, for agreeing as well. You both can stay.
Well, yeah. Everyone else bugger off if you like.
That's 2 viewers we got then.
There we go. Right, boys. Week 9 then, before we get into how the championship started. So Wrexham 1, Birmingham 1. A point apiece between the Hollywood derby. Rich, what's your thoughts on that one? I thought it was a bit of both halves, between both sides having the better half of each one, to be fair.
Yeah, I think like we said, we all went 1-1, didn't we? And it wasn't really a surprise. What interested me was Chris Davis's comments, Jack, after the game. I don't know if you've seen him, basically talking about how much money Wrexham had spent and all this. And I'm thinking, how much did you spend on Jay Stansfield in League One? I'm thinking, it tickles me when managers bring out that bullshit and you're thinking, you do exactly the same. I mean, nonsense. I think he's under pressure. I'm not saying they're going to sack him yet, but they're sort of finding it a little bit harder than probably what they thought. Look, Wrexham, Jack, I think they've had a decent start. I think they're the only team who've scored in every single game. You know, so they're scoring goals, get a few draws. I think we said with Wrexham, I think they'll probably be safe in mid-table. Parkinson, does he survive the season? Are they expecting a little bit better? Maybe, but I think at the minute you look at the table, it's all pretty concertinaed up, and I think if one of them sides like a Birmingham or Wrexham, if you can put 2 or 3 wins together, you can rocket straight up this league, you know. So it's still very, very early. I think normally you say, don't you, Steve, 10 games. I think it's going to be a few more games you're going to need to work out sort of where a lot of these teams are sort of going to be. Because like your Prestons and your Charltons, are they realistically going to be able to keep that going all season, that run they're having, when they get injury, suspension? So it's always, as always, it's an exciting league, Jack, and that's why I'm not saying we like being in it because we both want to be in the Premier League, but it's more competitive, isn't it, really? And you never know what's really going to happen. Yeah.
Steve, there were only 3 draws this week in the Championship. Sorry about the ring doorbell.
No, well, that was me for a second.
Yeah, it's the olives they ordered. No joking. Blackburn 1, Stoke 1, Derby 1, Southampton.
Oh, and quickly, I've got something for Blackburn, Steve.
Yep.
With the abandoned game, which they've rearranged, Jack, on December the 2nd. I'm really looking forward to going Blackburn in December. They scored a goal in the 79th minute, which I didn't think that existed when they said to us that they should have the 3 points because it was abandoned on 79 minutes. So you can't have it both ways. Goals after 79 minutes, I mean, Jack. Who would have thought it?
Although, you know, when it rains, it pours.
It was raining then. It's like, you know, it was hammering it down in Blackburn on Saturday as well. So I'm surprised the game went ahead. A little bit of rain. Don't like it.
When have you got to go there?
Oh, next year, I think.
Last game of the season, Steve.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a lot.
Maytime, Rich.
Well, I remember going to Blackburn in May when McCarthy was manager and we got in the playoffs on the last day of the season. It was May. I thought, yeah, it'd be decent weather in Blackburn. It was absolutely bloody freezing, Jack.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you prefer to go to Blackburn in May or December? I think it's about the same anyway, isn't it? Really, it's still depressing.
I'm going there twice. I'm going there twice this season. We've got 50% tickets, Jack. We've got to actually pay. They're not giving them to us. 50% off if you went before.
It's a disgrace. They should give you back for free because you've made that long trip. But some clubs are different to others, you know. You've still got to. They're still making that extra pocket off you, into Rich. You know, your club in Blackburn.
Did I think it'd be free? No, I didn't, because they've got to put the game on. They've got to pay staff.
Of course, they have. Yeah.
It is what it is, isn't it? You know, everyone wants something for nothing anyway. You know, so you're getting it a bit cheaper. You're going to have to drive 5 hours on a Tuesday night in December when we've got Hull and Oxford already. So we got 3 away games that week, which is a lot of travelling, but you just got to get on with it. You know, I like night games, if I'm honest. So
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what I missed when I was in the Premier League. You know, you never get many midweek fixtures. You know, there's hardly any. So
3 games a week, and it gives it a bit more better. With the Prem, it's only Saturday to Saturday or Saturday to Sunday, whenever it is, and you sort of get a bit bored, don't you? Thinking, when's this next game happening? But when you start getting the midweek games now, it starts to liven up a bit the Championship, because then you really start to see where teams are realistically going to finish, because it's a big block of fixtures coming. Steve, Sheffield United lost again. They lost to Hull in the Yorkshire Derby, should we call it? David scored for Hull. Not Ollie McBurney this time. They're not a one team man, Hull City, even though people claim that they are. But Sheffield United missed a penalty, and their woes go on at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, and it looks quite damaged. So when we went down that year, it was the perfect storm where, you had players that weren't interested, and realistically that nobody was pulling in the same direction. I'm going to make I don't think they'll get relegated, but I think they're going to be down there for a while, because it doesn't seem like there's any sort of cohesion on that pitch. The players aren't playing for each other, and the longer it goes on, there's going to be a lot more pressure on Wilder again. We might see a Sheffield United that makes sort of 2 or 3 changes this season in regards to the management position. But yeah, look, if they go down and Sheffield Wednesday stay up, that'll be a story for the ages for the Wednesday fans, won't it? Let's be honest. But yeah, they're really struggling. But if you actually look at the game and the momentum, they were all over Hull, but Hull came away with a win. So fair play to them, really.
Talking about a side who was all over the place at the weekend, Sheffield Wednesday against Coventry. Coventry 5-0 winners, would you believe? Coventry did have Sheffield Wednesday did have the little protest, didn't they? Where they did in, like, what was it, a 10th minute or whatever it was. I probably expected it to be a bit more bigger, being the situation that it is at the minute.
Right, Jack, on that, right, I see a lot online about they were going to do a protest.
Yeah.
I think fair play to them people who actually went on the pitch.
I agree.
I see they're not getting, there's no police action. I was listening on, I see there was a clip on Twitter. I think that was Rob Staten, who's a journalist, and they have like a phone in on the Monday night. They had a couple phone up who run on the pitch. They rung up anonymously, and they said that nothing had happened. But I think with that, their club's in a mess. You either got to be not bother doing it at all, or do it en masse. I mean, it's a bit.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of them ones where, come on, lads, and they're all waiting, and then you'll run on, and they're all standing. See you later, mate. But I just, yeah, it was a bit tin pot, wasn't it? As it pitch invasions. I'm not saying anyone should run on the pitch,
right.
But I think if you're going to do it, and Chanziri's running that club into the ground, I mean, you've got to. He don't really give a toss, does he?
Well,
no, it didn't really affect the game, did it? Because they still got battered 5-0. So
yeah, it's a big result
all day all round.
One, singing about Leicester man the gap, even though it's 3 points, by the way, but we'll carry on. But Steve, QPR 2-1 winners at Bristol City. Southampton again. I mean, that they seem to beat Sheffield United, and then the go and draw to Derby, and it wasn't the greatest game again from Southampton. Derby scored just before half time, and then second half, Southampton never come out the same team again, and their woes under Will still seem to carry on quite a bit. Is he the man? Is he going to last the season? That is the big question.
I don't think so. I actually because if it carries on like this Championship, as Rich was saying earlier, it's a fantastic league. It's very entertaining, but we all came into it thinking the league's a bit poor. We should do all right this season. But actually, anyone could beat anyone, which is fantastic. It's what you want, really.
Yeah.
And there are some arrogance from certain teams that come down, ourselves included, thinking we're going to walk the league. I think Southampton were thinking the same thing, and it just hasn't happened. And we'll still look. The jury's still out for him. I actually think he won't make the end of the season. I think they'll struggle up until Christmas, and they'll make a change there. You might see a certain Ruben Sellers come into Southampton. I think that.
What about Danny Roll?
Danny Roll, possibly, yeah. I know they looked at him before, didn't they, when they were in the Premier League, and they couldn't get him. So, yeah, but look, overall, they look like they battered Derby at the weekend, but stats are quite misleading, aren't they? We found that you can have 20 odd shots, but if you only get one on target and one's a goal, then that's what counts at the end of the day. So yeah, they're under a lot of pressure, and unless things kick up before Christmas, is there another international break?
Yeah, in November. Yeah, in November. So that's one, I think, Steve, where a lot of clubs might look at their manager there, like a Manning at Norwich. They're not going to pull the trigger now. I think in another I think there's another 4 or 5 games, and then there's a break. Is it 6? Is it
6
so?
Games.
I think that's about 15, 16 games, Jack. So I think that's I think that's long enough. When you give a manager a new manager, you've got to give him a little bit of time, haven't you? I know no one's got any patience nowadays, but I think that is fair, unless you're Watford.
Well, that's we're going to chat about Watford again in a minute. Rich, Millwall 3-0 against West Brom. I know we sort of looked at that as a draw, didn't we, when we talked about it last week. Portsmouth beating Middlesbrough. The league leaders dropped down to second after losing to Pompey. Preston 2, Charlton 0. Preston doing very well at home, Rich.
Yeah, look, we keep talking about Preston every week on there, saying it's a tough place to go because we obviously both went there and we got rolled over. I think, look, you've only got to look. He's in the running, I think, for September Manager of the Month, Heckingbottom. And I think Nathan Jones is in there as well with McKenna. Who's the other one? There's one more in there. Can't remember who the other manager is.
Is it Lampard?
No, Lampard's not in the running. He's not in there. Someone in the chat, help me out. But, yeah, look, Millwall hammered 4-0 at home, Jack, and then they go and roll over West Brom. I said to you last week, I don't think you played West Brom. I don't think they're that good. I think they're a bit of a stodgy. That's what I would call them, stodgy team. They're sort of middle of the road. But then they're like a lot of teams. Like I said, win 2 or 3 games, you can jump right up the league. Don't win for 2 or 3, and you'll fall down quite a few places. So, yeah, I think the next international break, when that comes, you'll have a bit more of a reflection, Jack, who's going to be, I think, where sort of in the table. But I think it's going to be nip and tuck for a lot of teams all season, and I don't think there's going to be a team that runs away with a league and probably gets 90 to 100 points. I don't think it's going to be like that this season. And obviously, if you're a neutral watching it, that's what you want, isn't it? You want it to be unpredictable. As fans of 2 clubs with parachute payments, we don't want it to be like that. We want it to be a little bit easier, and possibly it might be. In the end, the cream might rise to the top. But at the minute, it's look, Borough. We go there next Friday, Jack. They've had a little bit of a blip, and I think they've drawn 3, lost 1, won 1 in the last 5. So they're sort of finding out now. Look, they're still up there. Are they going to be there all season, Borough? Are they going to be at stay? Because you don't know, because like we say, injury suspensions and whatnot. But if a team like Borough get to January and they're somewhere around that top 4, they probably spend a bit of money, So we'll just have to wait and see.
The manager who's always up for the manager month is QPR's manager.
Oh, yeah. Done. Well, we've got 2 wins and a draw, because there's obviously a game missing for us in September, but I cannot quite remember what it was. Why didn't we play that? Oh, yeah. It rained. We don't want that award anyway. We don't want that award. Who wants manager of the month?
If the game went through, you'd probably had a defeat on there as well at the end. But
possibly.
Scapered away from that one, and you're replaying the game at 0-0. So happy days for Ipswich fans. You
just gotta hope you don't lose that game, Riz, because it'll be quite funny.
Well, like I said, Steve, it's tough now that that's going to come at the end of a 3 game away week, which, look, we all know how hard it is when you're playing away from home.
Yeah.
So, but with us, hopefully, we've got that squad depth that it's starting to show, and we're going to need it. We're going to need it in that week, because you're going to Hull, and you're going to Oxford on a Friday, and then you're going to Blackburn on a Tuesday. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And probably most of the EFL will all be supporting Blackburn that night and hoping that we have egg on our face.
Well, that is for hoping. Steve, I'm going to come to you with the next one. Swansea 1, Leicester 3. A more positive one for Leicester. Taking away all these draws, mate. They're forgotten about now, mate. Back to winning ways. 2 absolute stormers of the goals from Jordan James and Abdul Fatawu. absolute cracking one at the Swansea.com, Steve, from Leicester.
Yeah, it seems like Abdul's having a goal of the season competition by himself. So, yeah.
Oh, hang on. Well, hang on. Jaden Philogene might have something to say about that, I think.
Well, he might. But didn't Abdul win the goal of the month for that month itself?
He did.
No, that was the one for the Charlton. Did he get the Charlton goal? Was that the?
Yeah.
We got the Charlton one for, was it August?
Yeah, so September's one will be coming up, I'd have thought.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, anyway, Abdul, the player of the season so far, for us at least. Anyway, I said at the weekend, I think 70 minutes of that game we were on top and didn't look like we were breaking a sweat. But we always give away a goal, and it just happened to be a penalty that I don't think was a penalty. He got the ball, but why are you diving in at that point in the box anyway? It's a bit sort of fast. But overall, it was a long drive down to Swansea. Some of our fans didn't get there until half time because of a motorway. But overall, a good win, and we came back happy. So it's always good to go into the international break with a win, and dispel the 5 in a row potential draws. So I'm happy with it at least. It was our best performance of the season so far.
Well, I would sum it up, Steve, is long drive, wing stop, and away win. That's 3 words I'd sum it up as, because we enjoyed wing stop and we thought we were going to be enjoying a draw or a win today. But then obviously, we'd made our steps.
Let's not forget that you also enjoyed a pint flying out of your hand because of the wind.
As soon as I mentioned Paulo Sousa, that were a name that I want to forget about. I think the guy didn't take too kindly to a bloody drink going over his feet. But, it was a wet one in South Wales. And, I do apologise if you are watching, my friend. But, we move on with that one. But no, 3 points for Leicester. Much needed. And every time we seem to win 3-1 at Swansea, Yannick Vestergaard scores, as he did. Back-to-back games now for Vestergaard. And, Jordan James. What an incredible player Rich is in the Championship. He's doing well with Harry Winks in midfield.
Yeah, when he was linked with us in the summer, and I think there's a few teams after him. I like him, Jack. I think he's a really good player. I liked him when he was at Birmingham. I think he scored for Birmingham the last time when we played and when we got promoted, and he gave a bit to our fans, and nothing had happened in the game, and I don't know why, but I like that. I think he's got a bit of an edge. Great goal. It's a great goal. Very good goal. I mean, there you've got a great goal from him, and then Fatawu, who's obviously, that was a great goal as well. And this is where you hope, Jack, that teams like us and you, we've got that extra bit of quality. In them games when it's really, really tight, and you see, like, obviously the Charlton goal when you won 1-0 away there, them players who can just pull something out the bag. The game's sort of drifting along. You're probably thinking, when it went to 1-1, when Swansea got the penalty, you're probably thinking, here we go again. It's going to be another draw. But that's that little bit of quality that can get you over the line. And in the end, this is, like I said a little bit earlier, you're hoping that by the end of the season in the shake-up, I think us and you we've got better players, I think, than other teams, like your Prestons and Charlton. Not being disrespectful to them, because they're doing really well at the minute. But this is where I think that Premier League parachute payment that comes in, and you have to take advantage of it, I think.
You do. And, the quality showed for Leicester. Swansea, they try and keep it tight against us, double up on Abdul. But Jordan James, they didn't really look at him through much down the middle. I mean, he hit the post as well in the game, didn't he, Steve? Could have scored. Leicester could have had at least 4, maybe 5 against Swansea if they did go on goal. Jordan James wasted other chance. Carranza, he had an opportunity to score as well. Leicester had a number of chances in the second half. I think we sort of came alight a bit, didn't we? After that penalty, it sort of woke us up a bit and thought, the manager spoke about arrogance last game. We can't go and let him down this game because we're going to be in for it if we do.
Well, yeah, and actually, I think the second goal that we scored, it meant that they had to come out and attack us a bit more. So
and open the space up a lot more. And that's
which is helpful for a team that likes to play with the ball and move through the transition pretty quickly. With sort of direct passing from your midfielders up to your attackers and then sort of laying it off. So I think we probably could have won by sort of 4 or 5, but I'll take a 3-1 win. And I'll also say this: Swansea at home, some of the worst they were terrible at the weekend. Awful. They were singing a little bit, but they weren't great. Like, so quiet. Yeah.
Well, they started singing "It's Coming Rome," didn't they? To obviously us.
They did. Yeah.
Leicester fans were giving it back. I'm not going to bloody go and say on here what Leicester fans were giving it back with, because it's a bit of banter between both sides. A bit of the Welsh and English connection. It is what it is, and obviously that's going to happen tonight, isn't it? When Wales do take on England at Wembley, Rich. Watford 2, Oxford 1. The win for Watford, but didn't keep the manager in a job, did it? As they've just brought in Xavier Gracia again.
Second time?
Yeah.
I was reading the stat, boys. I think it was since 2010. I think they've sacked 10 managers. And you think,
yeah,
unbelievable. Look, I think we said on here, didn't we, a couple of weeks back, when that footage came out after the game, when he was in the dressing room, and they didn't look very happy, did they, with him? You're thinking, this is only going to end one way. If you look at them, Jack, they've, 2 wins and a draw in the last 3 games?
Yeah.
But look, I'm not a Watford fan. I'm not sort of privy to what sort of goes on there. But it's, for me, if that was my club and I'm sacking managers left, right and centre, it's a bit embarrassing, But it did work to a point for them. When they were in the Premier League, it worked for a point for them. But now, I was reading these comments that the manager who went, and that's where they're expecting to be. He thinks they could get to the Premier League, and I'm thinking, really? I mean, I watched them against Millwall on the Monday night on the telly, and I thought, they're pretty average. But then, like you say, they've drawn 1-1-2 in the last 3. They're another team, If you get a bit of it's momentum, Jack, I think, is what we're probably looking for in this league for any team. Yeah. You get that momentum, and you can soon shoot up the league. But look, he's probably going to last 1 season, and he's Steve.
Yeah, not even that. They could sack him before the end of the season. Well, I think they could theoretically have
1
3
season,
managers.
Steve. Autumn.
Oh, well, yeah, no, fair.
Fair. You like that, didn't you? I've been saving that one up all day.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Rich, another 3-1 winners in this weekend was Ipswich, your boys. Billy Jean, nice, we call him Philly Jean, scored for you lot. Absolute belter of a strike, by the way. Both obviously scored from set pieces, didn't you, in the game, Norwich and Ipswich. Bit of a quick succession type of thing. But Ipswich looked very more convincing. Norwich didn't really offer much. I don't think Sargent were anywhere in the game. Was it, Rich, in that game?
I thought for the first 15 minutes, I thought they were the better side. I thought we started pretty poorly.
Yeah.
I thought they pressed us really well. We try and play out, we're not going to change how we play. Whatever people think that sometimes you should go a little bit more direct. I can see it from both sides, if I'm honest. You want to keep possession of the ball, don't you? If you try and play a long ball, you're giving up possession, and that's not. Well, I think that's not what a lot of teams do now. A lot of teams play the same way, But obviously, we got the goal. Kit Pray scores on his second game. I mean, I'm not going to mess with him, Jack. He's absolutely massive. I'm not sure what centre half's doing though, Steve, wearing bright orange boots. I mean,
yeah, no, that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace.
But I don't know if you see the goal. I think in the Premier League, Jack, that goal probably gets chalked off because it's a ball from the corner. Philogene plays it to the far post. O'Shea nods it back in. Kit Pray, and I'm not sure who it was at Norwich. They're challenging for the ball, and it definitely rolls down his arm. Yeah. So it falls perfectly for him, and he lashes it in. And I'm thinking, I'm glad there's not VAR, because as soon as that ball goes in the net, we can all celebrate. What's happening. You can all go mental and lose your edge. Whereas in the Premier League, you're standing around for 5 minutes. They've got to check multiple angles, haven't they? And it kills that moment. So we might have got away with one there, maybe, possibly. But then literally 2 minutes later, they score from a set piece deflection, and you're thinking, oh, bloody hell, here we go again. We've made it. We've got into the lead 2 minutes later. And then you're going in, probably getting near to half time, Jack. If it had gone 1-1, we'd have been a little bit deflated. And then Philogene, I mean, he hadn't really done a lot in the game. Norwich give the ball away in midfield. He does a lovely turn. I've watched it. Well, I don't know how many times I've watched it, but I watched it today from an angle. All along, when he's dribbling with that ball, he does not look at the goal, Jack. He strides forward and just literally unleashes. It's an absolute rocket. I thought at the time maybe the goalkeeper in Norwich should do a little bit better because it is just above his hands. I think he just gets done for the pace. I think it was on our socials. I think it was 67 miles an hour, Jack, that ball was going. And it was rising all the way, Fantastic goal. And it's sort of, you went in at half-time, you're 2-1. It's one of them moments, boys, when you're in the ground and you see a goal and you just sort of, it's that wow, you think, wow, what happened there? It was a brilliant moment. Second half, Norwich were all right for about 10, 15 minutes, Jack. I think in the end, we brought some subs on. They made the difference. Obviously, did you see Nunes? Did you see Nunes, what he was doing at the end of the game, waving the corner flag around and giving it the big licks? And
I didn't like that.
I can see it from both sides. I mean, for too long, we've been a nice club. We've been really nice. I think that's a bit... Maybe it goes the other way a little bit. I personally quite like it. It could come back and bite us somewhere along the line, probably when we go to Carrow Road in April. The interesting thing for me is all their fans saying he's going to get snapped. Someone put one on him when he came on. Literally, I think this is football, Steve, now in 2025. It was a derby. There was hardly any tackles in that game. I mean, if that had been probably 10 years ago, possibly, someone's going to leave one on him. You're going to lose the game, boys. Just put one on him. That's my personal view. They were all waving inflatable snakes, all their fans. But look, we've got to go there. We've got to go there again in April. First win in 6,000 and something days it was, Jack, over Norwich. 16 years. All the stats were coming out, and by the end of the game, they look a really poor side. And you talk about Sargent.
Yeah,
I've said before, I still think he's a really good player. He literally got no service in that game whatsoever. I know people can say, Josh Sargent had a really poor game, but sometimes you can only work with what you're given. And he had nothing. If he gets injured, they're going to be in big trouble, Jack. He is their main man. And I think they've got Bristol City when we come back next week. That's a massive game for Manning. He needs results really, really quickly. Because like I said, I think he'll get till the next international break. And if it's not going well then, I think he's probably going to get the boot.
There we go. Rich, question. Do you believe Ipswich are now top two contenders? I think they look too good for most teams.
It's an interesting one, Buzz, because we haven't really got going, Jack. We've played in fits and starts, played decent against Sheffield United. I think there's a little bit, they were poor, we were decent. I think probably the same with you. I think there'll be certain games in this league we'll be able to get the 3 points in second gear, because I think, like I said, with that quality, hopefully in the end that should shine through. And I think if we win that game in hand that we've got against Blackburn, we'd be 3 points off the top of the table. But football isn't like that. It isn't like that. We go to Borough next Friday. It's on the telly. This is the next thing we need to tick off the list now this season. We need to start performing away from home, because that Norwich game was 3 wins on the bounce at home, which you've got to have strong home form. But we've got to start putting results, Jack, on the board away from home. If we go to Borough and we can turn them over, I think people might be sitting up and thinking, well, Ipswich are purring now. They're going to just click into gear. But long way to go. I'll be disappointed if we're not top two come the end of the season. That should be where we're aiming, definitely.
Right, so before we look at the standings of the table and talk about who we think could go down, promotion, let's have a look at the team of the week. So Thomas Asante is the striker of team of the week. This is FootMob, by the way. Todd Cantwell, Fatawu, Sakamoto is the three behind the striker.
I see, Jack. I think it was on Monday, one of these teams. It said Fatawu, who was playing for Ipswich. He had the Ipswich badge against his name.
What score I think it was that did it?
But was this team just for Saturday's game? Because there's none of our players in it.
Yeah, just Saturday, yeah.
He's around round 9. Grimes and Jordan James are in there as well. Sturgey from Millwall. Abankwa from Watford. Yannick Vestergaard's in there. And Ngakia at Watford again. And Panda, Hull goalkeeper, got the team of the week from Championship this week. Obviously, they haven't really looked at your game, have they, Rich? Because it were a Sunday. I think they've just based it off Saturday, like you just said. But let's have a look at the Championship standings, boys. So Coventry City going into the international break atop. 20 plus goal difference, by the way, for the Sky Blues. They've started off very well, haven't they, Steve? As they've knocked Middlesbrough off the top spot.
They have, but I don't know how consistent they're going to be throughout the season. Like every team will have a drop off at some point, and I think Coventry will do the same. As I said earlier on to you guys, if Forest sack Ange at any point, do they go for Frank? And if that happens, then they could fall apart potentially. But look, they've done really well. I don't think any team has scored 27 goals in 9 games in the Championship. So that I can remember anyway. To have that goal difference as well, they could. Okay, if Middlesbrough win, they go above them. But realistically, I can see them kicking on into the next international break and then sort of picking up, almost maximum points. They could be on sort of 30-odd points come the next break. And then, that's when you'll see the vultures circling, really, would be my guess, especially come January. They've got some very good players that a Premier League club could come in for. Hadji Wright is somebody that could maybe make the step up. Torp's a very good player. They've got Radoni, who was injured at the weekend, but he's still a good player to come back in. So yeah, they're doing really well, and I'd like them to fall away, please.
Yeah, well, we can all say that. Sorry, Coventry fans, we want that 3-point mind the gap business to stop, please, if you can. It's 46 game season, boys. You don't win the league in October. But no, Rich, the playoffs so far is Leicester, Preston, Stoke and QPR. Obviously, Leicester, no one really knew how Leicester would start under Marty with everything that happened last season, change of manager, players coming in, players coming out. It was a bit of an on and off field scenario at Leicester, which needed to turn quite quickly. Obviously, people expected Southampton and Ipswich to be here quite convincingly so far, didn't they, at the start of the season? But Leicester are the only one there of the relegated sides, or people like to call us the parachute payment teams. But Preston, Stoke and QPR, Rich, as well, do you sort of see them in that sort of faction at the end? Or if you had to pick one of them, which one do you think could be more convincing of being there at the end?
Wow, that's a massive question. That is saying who's going to do the better out of them 3. Look, there's a point covering all 3 of them in a minute. Preston are good at home, Jack. Yeah. I think that's where they're going to get probably a lot of their points. If you can win your home games, draw your away games, that's obviously the how you go. Stoke, they've faltered a little bit lately. QPR have done brilliant, Jack, since they got absolutely mauled at Coventry on that game when they lost 7-1.
Kicked them on, hasn't it?
It has, in a way. That's probably it's never a good thing to get absolutely hammered, but maybe that was the best thing that happened to them. Kone's done well, hasn't he? Good signing. He's popping the goals in, but I think it's very, very early still, Jack, to say with any confidence that any of them teams will be in the playoffs. Lose a couple of games, you could be 10th. You could fall down to like Southampton 17th, Jack, have got 11 points. So it's only 4 points to your QPRs and your Stokes. So a couple of poor results and you could soon slide down that table. Yet win another couple and you could soon be top of the league. Look, if you look at yourselves, if you'd have turned a couple of them draws into wins, you'd have been sitting top of the table now, wouldn't you? So that's what you need to do. There's been so many draws so far, and if that continues, through the next round of games, it's still going to be when we sit here after the next international break on 15 games, it's still going to be really, really close. It's going to be at the minute. I can't say I'd say Leicester. Definitely will be in the top 6. But then what happens to your points deduction? Does that come later on in the season? Nobody really knows that. Coventry, look, they can only beat what's in front of them in a minute. And I was looking at their next set of fixtures, Jack. They got Blackburn at home. You'd expect to win.
Yeah.
They go to Portsmouth on the Tuesday, tough place. Watford at home, you'd expect to win. Wrexham away. I think that's a night game on the Friday. Sheffield United at home, and then Stoke away. So Coventry fans will be looking at them set of fixtures thinking, right, we've got 6 games here. We can get a decent number of points. But like we say every week,
How the Championship works.
It's not as simple as looking at these games and thinking, we'll win that one, we get a draw there. Before you know it, you've lost a couple of games and it can all change. But I like Lampard. I think he's at his level now. You know, he's tried the Premier League. I thought he'd done all right when he was at Everton, you know, but I think they were a bit of a basket case at that time. But if you're a Coventry fan, I think you should just enjoy where you are and enjoy going to the games, seeing plenty of goals. Look, everyone goes to football to see goals, and you're banging in an average of 3 goals every game. It'd be interesting if they can keep that run going, Jack.
Yeah. Ipswich sit 9th, Steve. Bristol City in 10th. Millwall are in 8th. I mean, Millwall seem to be there and about by the end of the season, don't they? When we talk about Millwall every season in the Championship, they always seem to make a late push. Charlton have come up. They've started off pretty brightly. They've got 12 points from their opening 9 games. Portsmouth, Hollerton sitting in 15th. But then you're looking at Birmingham. Obviously, a lot of high expectations for Birmingham, Steve, and of course Southampton, both respectively sitting 16th and 17th at the minute. Are you sort of surprised with them both sides, or how do you sort of see the next block of fixtures panning out for both teams?
Well, I feel like, look, Birmingham coming up and spending lots of money, they probably wanted to be higher up the table than they are. But you know, realistically, they've got to get used to being in the Championship again. You know, it's a very tough league. And Southampton, look, as Rich said, it only takes them to win 2 games in a row and somebody above them to, you know, and they start pushing themselves up the league. So it is really tight. You know, if you look at Norwich and you think, you know, 8 points after 9 games isn't great, but actually, again, like, you know, in the next 6 games, if they can pick up 12 points, you know, they'll be back up there themselves. So, yeah, I think Birmingham should be happy just to I know they want to get promoted, but outside the playoffs this year, I think that would be a great season for them, to be honest. If they sneak into the playoffs, then great. And if it changes next year where 8th place can get into the playoffs, they'll be even happier. But, you know, I think Southampton, look, as we mentioned earlier on, the next 6 games for them are important. If they're still sort of languishing down this end of the table come the next international break, you could see we'll still be replaced with somebody else. So, you know, it's an important game against Swansea coming up, that's for sure. But look, you know, we're 9 games in. I think the next 6 games before the international break, and then that sort of crazy December period, which always sort of separates the wheat from the chaff in this league. You'll then see towards the end of this year, you know, the bigger teams, I think, with the bigger squads like Southampton and Ipswich and ourselves pushing up the league, because there's only so many times you can play the same team week in, week out, Tuesday, Saturday. So, you know, the bigger squad you have, the better you'll be overall. So I think we'll those 3 will be okay.
Rich, Hull going under the radar. Fee restriction meant we couldn't spend a penny, and I've had a great transfer window in the summer. Hull City sitting 15th. Ollie McBurney is banging in the goals for the Tigers at the minute. They seem to be mauling a couple of sides in the league so far. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats for Hull City. What have you made from their start?
Look, they've been fairly decent. You know, McBurney's obviously the standout, Jack. To get hold of him,
Championship striker.
He's hit the ground running. You know, if he can stay fit, that's where it's key, isn't it? That you're lucky with injuries as well. You know, when you have, like Ant said there, they can't spend any fees, so they've looked in that free market. You know, and you can pick up some good players in there. You know, I think Lundstrom, they signed him as well. Good signing in this league. So if they can keep McBurney fit and firing, you never know, Jack. They're sitting in 15th, but they're only 7 points off the top of the table, and it shows how close it is, really. But I think they'll be probably quite happy how they've started. They'll obviously be happier than Sheffield United, you know, sitting bottom of the league when I still can't believe they scored 3 goals, Sheffield United, in 9 games. 3 goals.
And they've conceded 16.
That is dreadful.
They're holding Sheffield Wednesday up at the minute.
But can that that can't continue that run. You know, you've bought in Wilder.
Never say never.
No, I agree, because something has to be fundamentally wrong at that football club, because I look at their squad and I think they've got some good players.
They have.
So this is like Steve was saying a while ago. This next block of games, when it takes you up to 15, 16 games,
it's key.
This is when they need to get some points, Sheffield United. They need to get them on the board very, very quickly, because if they're sitting in the same position in another 6 games' time, you know, you could say at the minute, they could still make the playoffs, Steve. I know people will say that's a bit of a wild sort of statement, but we've got 18 points to play for in the next round, Jack. If they get 12 points, that'll bump them right up the league. And I know they're playing catch-up, I get that, but you can soon, with the amount of draws in this league, it's important, because there's so many draws. If you can win a couple of free games when there's so many draws, you can soon shoot up this table. So I'm not ruling them out at the minute of climbing the league. Maybe that is a little bit at the minute to say they can still make the playoffs, but this is the Championship. You just never know. And you've seen teams, when Steve Cooper come in at Forest that time, I think they were third
bottom of the table, weren't they?
Yeah, that was after about a similar number of games, wasn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
So
and then playoffs and got to the Premier League.
So it is possible, but if you're a Blades fan, you've got to think, right, we need to start moving. It's not, if you're losing and you're scoring goals, I think you've got a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But when you've only scored 3 goals in 9 games, you've got to arrest that very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You look at, Wrexham 18th, I think they'd be respectively there, wouldn't they, Steve, at the end? Norwich, you're not having the greatest time under Liam Manning. Derby, Blackburn, Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United are the bottom 5 at the minute. Obviously, only 3 of them's going to go down in 22nd, 23rd and 24th. Before we talk about the relegation and the promotion sides of who we think could do things, but it makes it eventful, the bloody Championship, either side of the table. Oxford, home form's key in it, Steve, for them to stay up. Blackburn, they seem to swap managers quite a bit and all, actually. But they haven't really done a lot, have they? They've conceded 11, scored 7. So they are scoring goals. Sheffield Wednesday, I think they're expected to be where they are this season due to a possible points deduction again that'll make it even more difficult for them. But what's your initial thoughts when you look at the bottom 5, and how many do you think will sort of be there at the end of the season?
I think realistically, out of those bottom 5, you can say 2 of them will be there or thereabouts. I think Sheffield Wednesday is almost a guarantee to finish bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think you can see Oxford struggling as well, so they might be down there. And then the rest of the 5, I think Norwich are too good. I think they'll be fine. I think Sheffield United, I don't think they'll go down, but never say never. So out of the rest, I think Blackburn will struggle this season. I actually, I thought they'd do okay, but I think they're in that sort of weird place where they're not scoring goals really. 7 goals in 8 games isn't great, and 1 win in the last 5 is not good form. So I think they could struggle. And Derby the same. They've got an okay. They're not turning those draws into wins, are they? And that's what you need to do in this league. If you're drawing games, converting one of them into a win can push you up the table and give you the confidence. But if you keep drawing games, 1 point, 1 point out. If you go a point a game in this league, 46 points, it might keep you up, but it'll be very close. So realistically, you could probably pick 2 out of the 5 that will be down there, and then I still think there's a few teams that will fall back down towards the end of the season, mainly because of the quality of the squad more than anything. If you've got a good starting 11, that's all one thing, but if 2 players get injured in that, you're going to struggle.
Agreed. Rich, let's have a look at some of the players. So let's look at top scorer. So top scorer at the minute is Hadji Wright with 8. Ollie McBurney has 6. Thomas Asante with 5. They're the top 3 for top scorers at the minute. Looking at top scorers, Rich, which player do you think will be top scorer in the Championship? Who you sort of got your money on this year? Because obviously last year, Sargent were banging them in, weren't he, for Norwich?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Asante is an interesting one there, Jack. I think I was reading. I think he's got 8 goal involvements. 5 goals, 3 assists, which is, as a Coventry fan, my boss supports them. I think that's probably a little bit of a surprise seeing him. Haji Wright, top of the charts, not really surprised at that. I think he's a very good player. Yeah. But a lot of it's like I said about Sargent. If you're not getting the bullets to load the gun, you're going to struggle. With Coventry at the minute, they're creating loads of chances. So you can probably miss a couple of games, and you look at the way they're scoring. I mean, 5. They've gone 3, 4, and 5 in the last 3 games they played, Jack. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I still think Sargent will get plenty of goals from Norwich. What's he on, Jack, at the minute? Is he on 5?
Sargent is on 5, yeah.
Yeah, so he's Norwich's key man. If he stays fit, which is another thing about him, he normally has an injury. I like Steve said, I don't see them struggling in the table. But if you're not getting chances, you're not going to score goals, are you? It's just how it is. Philigine's on 5 as well, by the way, Jack. I think he's had a great start to the season, especially at home. But I don't think he'll be top scorer. I think our goals will probably be spread out. But at the minute, if you're a betting man, you're going to say Haji Wright, and he's probably going to win the. Is it the red boot, Steve? We see.
Yeah, red boot this season. Yeah, it's a special limited edition version.
So
nice little EFL boot there. Ollie McBurney goal contributions is top with 9, so he has got an assist. He has got the assists and the goals to go with it. Ryan Giles has got 5 assists at the minute with Hull, so he's more up there, combined with Milan Van Uwijk, the Coventry right back. Sorba Thomas has had a very good start to Stoke, but the FootMob rating. Which team do you think's got the highest FootMob rating with a player? Who do you think could be the highest rating? They're not even in the top 10 of the.
So I've already ruined this, Shaq, because I'm already looking at this screen. So I know the answer.
Right, get it off your screen and forget that you looked at it.
Sorry, okay.
Right. Can I guess?
Yeah, go on.
I would say it is Mehmeti at Bristol City.
No. It is someone in red, though. Isn't it, Steve?
It is, yeah. It's James Bree at Charlton.
Oh, he's in the running for Player of the Month.
Centre back, isn't he? But he can play on the wing as well.
Yeah, he plays right. We had him on loan when we got relegated from the Championship. He played right back for us. We had him. I think we had him from Luton. I think he was on loan.
Yeah, decent player. But player of the season. Transfer of the season so far has got to be Ollie McBurney, right? We all agree with Ollie McBurney being the transfer of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say so. Yeah. I will say when it comes to strikers, but I think Jordan James has done very well at Leicester for midfield.
But it's not 9 goal contributions in 9 games, is it?
If you go over combined, it'll obviously be Ollie McBurney signing on a free, scored, assisted. Let's have a look at some other things. Expected shots on target, goals on target, is Haji Wright was 6.1. Ellis Sims has got an XG per 90 of 2.38. Accurate passes per 90 is Harry Winks with 73. Big chances created is Sorba Thomas with 9. So he seems to be the biggest creator with chances created as well, with 25 chances created for Stoke, with Barry Bannon on 24, Rich.
I mean, I see Bannon's in the running, obviously, for the Player of the Month as well. I mean,
yeah,
he's been a good player for a very, very long time. He's one of them players, Steve, who they always have to use his full name. There's certain players, isn't there, that they just use their surname. He has to be called Barry Bannon. I don't know why. Whenever he's on Sky, it's Barry Bannon. I think he's obviously fair play to him. He could have left Wednesday, I think, in the summer. He might be thinking now, I wish I had. But he's one of them players. Fair play to him for staying there, and it's obviously tough. He's a good player. Barry Bannon. If they're going to have any chance, Jack, this season, he's probably going to have to be their Player of the Year, But I think Wednesday are nailed on to go down. I mean, it's just they've taken bottom spot already. I know we're only 9 games in, but what's probably going to happen there with the points deduction? which is a shame. But if you're a team struggling at the bottom, you're probably thinking that's helped you out. But yeah, look, Bannon's a good player. How old's he now, Jack? 36? Knocking on a little bit, isn't he? He's getting on a little bit long in the tooth, but he's
36 in December, so yeah. But
he's
to be fair, like he's a Wednesday legend, isn't he? He's 450 odd appearances for them, so
he is.
But it's going to be tough for them. Very, very tough. I think they play Sheffield United soon, don't they, Jack? I don't think that's
Steel City derby. Sheffield Wednesday managed to somehow win that one.
Oh wow!
Oh, if they're still bottom by that point, 23rd versus 24th, it's going to be a tense finish, isn't it, for that one? Because that'd be an interesting one.
So that's after the next international break. That's the first game. When's the 23rd? Is that must be a Sunday? It's in that round of fixtures.
Yeah,
that's the first game back after the third international break for both of them teams. It's at Hillsborough as well. So
should we have a look at some team stats? So FootMob's rating for team stats is 7.18 for Coventry, Bristol City at 7.03, Leicester 6.97. Goals per match, Coventry are averaging 3 goals a game. Ipswich are averaging just 1.9, which is second place in this one, and Bristol City at 1.7. Goals conceded per match, 0.7 is Stoke. With Middlesbrough, Preston is 0.8. What do you think the top 3 possession is then for average possession, Steve? If you had to go for the top 3 sides,
I'm going to say it's the relegation side, isn't it, from the Premier League?
It is, yeah. Who do you think's top? I bet you're on football now, so obviously
I'm not actually. I decided not to click over to the teams tab just to make sure I wasn't cheating at these sort of questions.
That's all right.
So I think that it's probably Southampton because they keep the ball more than anybody else.
59.5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Leicester?
Or is it? Ipswich.
Ipswich, okay.
56.8% possession.
Right.
What would like a Preston be, Jack? Where are they on there? They're sitting 4th in the table, but I'd say they're going to be pretty low.
Preston are sitting at 45.1% in 19th.
There you go.
Leicester, they sit in 3rd with 56.8% possessions.
So the same as Ipswich?
Leicester and Ipswich are the same. Sheffield United are on 55.8 possession and they've only scored 3 goals all season. So they've been more like a bloody Birmingham of 56.2, but only scored 8 goals so far. So the possession stats is obviously not win your games. But then you look at clean sheets. Coventry have got 5. Charlton's got 4. Middlesbrough's got 4. Preston and Portsmouth have both got 4. Leicester's got 3. Ipswich, they've only got 1 clean sheet, so they sit in 16th.
Yeah.
Southampton's got 1 as well. They sit in 22nd. So what other sort of stat do you want to look at before we talk about promotion and relegation?
What are the big chances missed? Like, who's top of that? I'm guessing it's probably Coventry, right? Because they've had so many.
Yeah, 19.
Bloody hell. Imagine if they scored 19 more goals. Jesus Christ.
Wrexham's got 17. Bristol City's got 16. Your boys, Rich, 15.
I mean, wait, going back to clean sheets there, Jack, I think we're always shipping a goal a game. You know, we don't look very tight at the back. I think if we can clean that up with the players we've got going forward, I think it's obviously that's one thing we can improve on. If you're looking where your team can improve on, that would be stopping goals for us. If we can get in that top 4 or 5 of teams keeping clean sheets with the amount of firepower we got going the other way, I think that's going to be where we look to improve, I think.
Derby County have had the most yellow cards with 29 so far. Southampton, 24.
I think they'll be a bit disappointed, Jack, with their start, Derby. I don't think they've won a home game yet, have they?
Especially with the transfer window they had. Some teams, which we're actually going to talk about in a minute. Steve, have you got your table at all?
Yep, give me a second.
Right, we're actually going to discuss that in the second. I know Rich hasn't got his. We'll let him off. But we'll discuss with Rich and see what he thinks with if we say our bottom 3 and then Rich can say, well, I'd sort of change this team and this team with both that we've got. I had Sheffield Wednesday bottom of 24th. Preston, I wasn't. Preston.
Can Jack get a point for that, Steve, in the standings, so he can get a little bit closer to me and you?
We might have to give it towards the end of the season.
Yeah, possibly.
There are a lot of sides a lot of media and that obviously spoke about Hull and Preston as relegation candidates this season, but they've changed it. Where do both of them sit actually? So Hull sit 15th, is it? Yeah, 15th, and Preston sit 4th. Who was your bottom three, Steve?
Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, then Hull.
Yeah, I've got Hull in there. Rich, what do you reckon to both of our bottom threes? Who would you change?
Well, I think I had Oxford in there as well. I think they're going to struggle. I think they've got to start winning some games. They've performed quite well. They had that little run there, didn't they, when they drew with you? I think they drew with Coventry, and then they got a win. And I think it's obviously when we go back, I think it's a 3-game week, isn't it? It starts. Hull are the team at the minute you would definitely take out. And you probably would replace them at the minute. Sheffield United, not going to be there. I'll put my neck on the line. They're not going to be in the bottom three come May. I'd be massively surprised if they were. I'd find it quite funny if they did. And Chris Wilder probably loses his job for a third time, Steve. That would be quite comical, wouldn't it? But I don't think. If I'm looking in a minute, it's probably going to be Blackburn, Jack.
I won't be. Yeah, I've sort of looked at some of these, and you sort of look at Blackburn, who had him 14th, by the way, going into the Championship. I kind of look at Blackburn start. I think them, Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday's in there, aren't they? Wrexham will be there and abouts, I think.
What about Charlton, Jack? They're 13th at the minute on 12.
Do you know what? I reckon they'll be. I don't think they'll be near it. To be fair, I don't think they'll be as close because a lot of people had Charlton to go down, and I sort of looked at it and I think Charlton have had the better start out of all three teams that have come up. Considering they won the playoffs last season, they've done more of an Oxford, haven't they? And how Oxford first come into the Championship after winning the playoffs, and that sort of seems like a moving scenario. I think Charlton stay up quite comfortably. To be fair, with Nathan Jones, they're doing well at home. They've only lost one home game in it to Leicester, so they are pushing well at home. I think that's where they're going to pick the points up.
But it's right what Steve was saying a minute ago. You know, if you're hitting a point a game, 46 points, Steve, does that keep you in the league? Maybe. But you're going to be close. But if you look at the minute, Oxford, they played 9. They've got 6 points. So they've got ground to make up.
So last season, 46 points would have got you relegated. The season before would have also got you relegated. Yeah, so if you get 46 points, you know, you're probably going to get relegated from that point.
So you're looking at Blackburn and Derby as well, Jack. They're going under a point a game at the minute. And Norwich.
Funny enough, actually, I had Derby in 13th for the transfer window that they had. Where did you have Derby, Steve?
I had Derby finishing 18th this season.
Yeah, I think I might actually change that, to be fair. I think there'll be more in a relegation battle than mid-table.
Whoa. You can't change it during the season. It's a prediction. It's not a prediction.
Well, no, I'm not thinking it's a prediction type thing, but I think looking at my sort of stance on the table that I picked, I think some of the...
I was going to say, you can't change your prediction now, Jack, halfway through the season. That's an outrage. You'd be deducted points for that.
Well, I ain't really getting anywhere anyway. But no, I think if it's any changes we would make, then I think obviously we can't change them now, but any changes we would make, I think Derby be down there, Blackburn, Hull.
Derby got to win games. Jack. You know, especially at home. If you can't win your home games, you're going to be struggling. You know,
I don't think Watford will be anywhere near the top half. I think they'll be down in the bottom half again. I had them 16th, I think, last season, but then I think that's where they sort of finished. Norwich, I don't think they'll be top 7. I did put them 7th place, Rich. I'm sorry, but I think they've had a bit of a stinker. I didn't think they'd actually start off like the way they did. I think they'd had a better start with the transfer window that they had. I thought they had a good transfer window. And a lot of people spoke about them in playoff sort of form. And
I think if you listen to a lot of their fans, I think they've signed a lot of players that I don't personally know a lot about. When they came down to Portman Road on Sunday, I've got like, who's he? I didn't know who they were, but
No.
they've signed some quite good players, but a lot of it's coming back to the manager, the style of play they're playing. A lot of it is coming on Ben Napper, who's their director of football, who obviously he sacked their last manager. This is what I'm saying with Norwich. He's their director of football's put his neck on the line by, I think it's Thorpe was the last manager. He fired him, Jack. Then he's picked Liam Manning. So if it doesn't go well for him, and then he sacks Liam Manning, eyes are going to turn to him as well, Ben Napper, and he's going to come. The heat's going to be on him, because he's not picking a good manager. But it's still too early.
It is.
For Norwich, obviously the main thing for them is their home form, Jack. They've lost 5 on the spin at home. That can't continue. Anybody knows that can't continue. If they can win some home games, they've done actually quite well. They've got 8 points, and they've got all of them points away from home. So if they can turn some of them defeats at home into wins, they'll be all right. But their fans have got bigger expectations than sitting in the bottom half of the table. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 6 games for them. If they don't pick up points, it's ending one way for Liam Manning, Steve. He's going to get the sack.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Steve, who's like your top 8?
So I had Leicester winning the league with Ipswich in second, Southampton, Coventry, Norwich, and Middlesbrough in the playoffs, and then Sheffield United and Watford in 7th and 8th. So I had Sheffield United missing out on the playoffs, which might be a really good prediction, judging how they started the league.
That's the points deduction, yeah?
That's without the points deduction. I think if we get a points deduction, just move this down to sort of 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I sort of based it on a points deduction for Leicester. With put Leicester. I have had Ipswich top to win the league. I did have Southampton second. I don't think Saints will actually be there in the top 2. To be fair, come the end. Leicester, I had them in 3rd, which they are sitting 3rd at the minute in the playoffs. But I think Leicester, looking at us at the minute, I think we're going to be higher up in the table. To be fair. Sheffield United, I predicted them 4th, but you're looking at them at the minute at the bottom of the bloody pile. Coventry in 5th, I do sort of see Coventry in like a more playoff picture like they are every sort of year. Who was your dark horse, Steve? Because I had Birmingham in 6th for the playoffs, and I'm sort of may ruin that by the end.
My dark horse was... Well, I put Birmingham in 11th. I don't know if that counts as a dark horse, really.
That's all right, yeah.
But, I guess I would say my dark horse was actually probably Wrexham. I had them finishing 17th. And a lot of people have them sort of going down. So, yeah, Birmingham, Wrexham, 11th to 17th, there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think Millwall will be around the top 10 again. I think they'll have.
Well, with Millwall, obviously they weren't in the playoffs last year, were they? But they were around that point. Same with like Bristol. I know Bristol City got into the playoffs last season. But
I've got 11th this time. I think they might finish a bit higher. I think they'll probably replace Norwich in the 7th half.
You look at Millwall, boys. They got hammered in the week, didn't they, by Coventry?
Yeah.
They don't score many goals. They've scored 1 goal a game.
Yeah.
They're 8th. Take away that 4 goals against Cov, and they're conceding about a goal a game. Look. They're quite a consistent team, but have they got enough to make that top 6, or are they just going to fall short around your sort of 8th, 9th? I think at the minute they might sort of sit in that bracket that they're always in games, Millwall. I think they're quite a hard side to beat, but have they got enough, Jack, to just make that little bit of extra sort of ground up to get in the top 6? They've got a chance. I'm not ruling them out, but I don't know if they're quite, when it comes to shake up at the end of the season, I don't know if they're quite going to be good enough, because I think Coventry and Borough will definitely be in the top 6, Jack. I think Leicester will be in there. I think we'll be in there. Even a West Brom. You see them play, didn't you? And you didn't really rate them.
No.
And they're 7th.
I wouldn't say I was delighted.
But they're sitting 7th, Steve. They scored 9 goals as well. They're not exactly setting the world alight, but it's just consistency in this league. That's what will get you into that top 6. But
there's been probably a lot more draws than wins so far in the Championship.
And if it continues like this,
Yeah.
if it continues like that, it's going to be close all the way. This is where I think, like with us, I think now we've got 3 wins at home. We've won 3 out of the last 4. If we go to Borough and we can beat them, that is when we need to really lay down a marker now. You know, we've had a pretty slow start, I'd say, Ipswich. You know, I think when you get a lot of turnover with your players, you know, I think was it 14 players out and 11 in, that's going to happen anyway. You know, but now we're starting to get a bit of rhythm and we're starting to perform. But you know, we've spent a lot of money, so we need to be in and around that top 2 or 3 all season, Jack. I think we really do.
So quickly looking at the, I know we weren't going to discuss this tonight, but quickly looking at the next set of fixtures. So you've got Middlesbrough v Ipswich on the Friday night, which obviously it's going to be a long trip for bloody Rich. I feel sorry for Friday night. Oxford and Derby. I mean, that's a must-win for both of them, to be fair. QPR, Millwall, Southampton, Swansea. I mean, Swansea, they've started off reasonably well. I think they'll cause Saints problems, to be fair. Birmingham, Hull. Again, Birmingham are not really scoring a lot of goals, and I don't think they've really picked up since that defeat against Leicester. I mean, even that Swansea 1-0 that they picked up, they've not really set the world alight. I think Hull, you know, could probably go there and get something. Charlton and Sheffield Wednesday. I think Charlton will stick to it. Blackburn, Coventry. I think Coventry will probably go in that one, to be fair. But then we always say Blackburn don't really score. When we do predict them to not score, they do score. So they'll probably will get one. Sheffield United, Watford. Will it be new manager bounce, do you reckon, Steve, for that one?
Yeah, probably. I don't know what's happened to my camera. It's sort of shit himself for a second. No idea what's happening. My screen just froze and then couldn't see anything. Now I've disappeared. Possibly. I think, you know, with Watford, they're a team where you can sort of flip a coin with them, really, can't you? It depends on who does. But now they've got rid of the manager that they didn't really like. Against the Sheffield United team that aren't great, you could see them beating Sheffield United, that's for sure. So that would be, I think this next set of fixtures will be quite interesting because obviously, you know, Ipswich play Middlesbrough, Coventry at Blackburn, we've got Pompey, you know, Sheffield United against Watford, and like even sort of Southampton against Swansea itself. It's some difficult games there for sure, but I think
there's going to be a lot of draws again, Steve. If you look at them fixtures, I think a lot of them they're tight in there. There's not a lot between the teams if you look at them fixtures, Jack. In a lot of them,
midweeks, I'd say. If you look at the midweek game, the first midweek game, but Leicester's away to Hull, Derby against Norwich, Blackburn, Sheffield United. There could be a lot of draws. Preston, Birmingham, Southampton, Bristol City, Wrexham, Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday, Middlesbrough. Sheffield Wednesday's away form's probably going to be a lot more better than the home form. Where's Steve gone?
He's vanished. He's out of it.
Yeah, he's out of here. As soon as I mentioned midweek, he's gone and thought, yeah, I ain't dealing with that again. Not after Wrexham. But no, it's going to be an interesting scenario, isn't it, boys, now to where the Championship leads. I think the next set of fixtures before the November international break, it's going to be quite telling to where teams going to finish. But then, as you say, Rich, you know, the Championship, and a lot of people have been surprised because normally sort of around this point, you sort of know who's going to maybe finish where. Teams seem to be further points ahead than other teams. And you look at Leicester last time when they were in the Championship, we were well ahead at that point, I thought. Preston was surprising a couple of teams and they were sitting a bit more top of the league and all. Do you think it'll be quite tight up until about Christmas time, or do you reckon it will start to fizzle itself out after the November one?
So if you're looking, 6 games to come in the next block, Jack, I think it is, isn't it? It takes you up to 15.
Yes.
If you average 2 points a game there, you know, if you get 12 points out of them 6 games, whoever you are, like us, we'd be sitting on 25 points. I think I'd take that now.
Yeah.
Because it'd probably fire you into the top 6. I think I was looking the other day. I think at this stage last time, Jack, when we were in the Championship with you and obviously Leeds were up there, we raced away out the blocks. I think we had something like 27, 28 points out of our first 11 games, and that's not happening this time. Yeah, I still think it's going to be pretty tight all the way round to December time, Jack, and then you get the Christmas fixtures. You could throw a blanket over a lot of these teams at the minute, and you could make a case for a lot of them to say, well, we could be in the top 6. But it's all about players staying fit, avoiding suspensions, and the teams with the bigger squads, like Steve said earlier, you would think that would play a big part, especially when you're playing 3-game weeks. This is where your quality hopefully should shine through. Because if you look at Coventry's squad, Jack, it's not the biggest at the minute, But if they can get to the transfer window in January, sitting in the top 2 or 3, they're probably going to splash a bit of cash because you just have to take that opportunity when it comes.
Do you want me to give you the top 6 after 9 games 2 years ago?
Yes, go for it.
Leicester sat top, 24 points. Ipswich Town sat second, 22 points. Preston were third with 20 points. Sunderland had 16 points in 4th. Hull were 5th with 16 points. Cardiff was 16 points in 6th. Obviously, they're now in the relegation picture, wouldn't they? Obviously, last season get relegated to League One. The relegation battle last time.
Where were Leeds, Jack? Where were Leeds?
Leeds, they was sat in 9th place with 13 points.
Yeah, because they obviously had a lot of turnover of players, didn't they? So that sort of affected them.
Southampton had 13 points in 10th. So they're probably where they are at this minute in time. The bottom 3, QPR in 22nd with 8 points. Rotherham United with 5 points in 23rd. And Sheffield Wednesday were bottom with 2 points. Sheffield Wednesday are basically a place higher this time in 23rd.
Yeah, it shows that Preston, who tend to start the season well, sort of fell off. Leeds, who, as Rich said, they had a lot of turmoil that summer, so started quite late. I think it helped us too, Ipswich and Leicester, having those points on the board towards the end of the season, because it meant that actually there was a bit of a cushion there, which meant that when Leeds decided to go and screw it up against QPR, we were all sitting pretty happy.
Oh, what a Friday night that was! I remember watching that on Sky.
Great.
Couldn't quite believe my eyes while I was watching. 4-0. Brilliant it was. It was absolutely brilliant.
Crazy. Yeah. This championship is going to be an interesting encounter. Obviously, we're going to be back, everyone, next Thursday as we do the championship predictions, week 10. And then
How many points has Jack got? How many points has Jack got, Steve? Just to remind everybody.
8, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Not great, Jack. I'm not going to lie, mate.
Unbelievable.
8 points. Wow.
We don't talk about. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, mate. We get there when we get there first. We might have a shit start to the season, but we'll get there at the end. So watch out, boys. Watch out. Yeah, it's only a little gap for now. But no, we've got midweek games and all, haven't we, boys? So we're going to have 3 championship predictions quite back to back, aren't we, for the games coming up, which is interesting. The match previews are going to be interesting and all, aren't they, Steve? Pompey, Hull, Millwall. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on. But hopefully, boys, I'll start to pick up. And Rich is...
Well, we hope not. Me and Steve obviously hope that you don't pick up.
Yeah, you stay down there, mate.
Steve's hoping you bloody don't pick up Rich after the international break, mate. So, yeah, might feel a little shaky moment for you.
He said to me at the weekend, Rich, we were sat in Wingstop, and he said to me, "Oh, see, the thing is, yeah, we just need to make sure we beat, Rich, because he's not even a Leicester fan; he's an Ipswich fan. We got to beat him." And I was like, Jack, whoa, mate, I would beat you as well. I'm in this to win it myself. I don't care who you support.
We did not say that. That was AI. We're not having none
of that. Unbelievable.
It is. Yeah, all these lies, mate, are going to catch you up. I'm telling you. So there we go. But no, cheers again, boys. Everyone, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed your stream. If you watch this on playback and you enjoyed the show, yeah, get down and hit a like. Subscribe to Going Rich at the Suffolk Crunch. What's coming up, Rich? Have you got anything or?
No, I'm putting my feet up. Cigar on this weekend. Might watch a bit of lower league. There must be some lower league games on Sky, aren't there, this weekend? I would have thought they'd be on. I'll have a look at some of them, and then look forward to my trip to Borough next Friday night. Can't wait.
Lovely. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments of everything we've discussed. Who you think's going to get promoted? Who you think could be in the relegation zone at the end of the season? But no, we've discussed everything: stats, table, week 9, the lot, and on to week 10 after the international break. Cheers again, boys. Have a great rest of the evening, everyone. Come on, England against Wales. Let's go and bloody batter them lot. Come on. See you soon.